we're at the point now in the Nintendo Switch lifespan where we can expect 3 major Pokemon games in the next year. Like new Pokemon Snap, which is going to be huge, Pokemon Diamond and Pearl remakes, which are going to be huge, and Pokemon Legends Arceus, which is going to be phenomenally huge, I think, among normies. All of these games, I expect, if Pokemon Let's Go is any indication, are probably going to sell over 10 million units at least. For some of them, I could see them like going over 15 million or 20 million for Pokemon Arceus. Like, I could see these doing incredibly well if Game Freak plays their cards right and the games are really well received and things like that. Like, I think these are going to be phenomenally huge. And because they're releasing so close together, they're going to like highly drive Switch sales and send Sony PlayStation sales just crashing to the ground, right? Like, completely non-existent. Like, nobody is going to be talking about PS5 the next year. Nobody's talking about PS5 now. Like, I'm reminded really strongly of, like, what happened when Pokemon X and Y was announced for 3DS, in which a console that Pretendos and game journalists like Colin Moriarty spent years and years deriding and mocking and trying to pretend that the PS Vita was superior to it. Those people had to eat their words the instant Pokemon X and Y came out. And they had to deal with the fact that, like, holy shit, we have to deal with Pokemon numbers now. And that one announcement basically buried the PS Vita forever and sent the 3DS soaring above basically every console that generation. Like, the 3DS was a huge success because of Pokemon X and Y, a relatively weaker Pokemon entry. And now we're kind of at the point where we're seeing more Pokemon. We're seeing more. We're probably going to see another Pokemon game before the end of the a new Pokemon generation before the Switch is replaced by new hardware. But we're still getting these games as well, which makes me think that, like, wow, Pokemon Switch is going to do phenomenally well in the next couple of years. It's going to reach incredible heights, and Sony and Xbox are just not going to cut it. Like, Xbox isn't going to be making money in Game Pass unless they start raising prices, which will drive away a significant chunk of their user base, right? If they raise prices on mine, I would cancel mine immediately. PlayStation is dead. They've recently closed another studio, whereas Nintendo is acquiring studios, including Next Level Games, and expanding their portfolios expanding their portfolios to new genres and ideas that are going to be phenomenally successful, right? Like, we're kind of at the point now where I don't think it's really possible for Sony and PlayStation to really topple Nintendo ever. You know, I think that we're at the point now where Nintendo is going to, like, become as big as Disney in the next 50 years. Bigger, I would hope. With, like, Disney's failings in recent years, this really isn't all that unlikely. Some people would dispute that, but I think it's very, very possible. Nintendo isn't going to get acquired by any of these companies. They're not going to get bought out, and they're certainly not going to get driven out of business. Like, they're just going to get bigger and bigger, pump out more and more titles, and with more and more time, they're going to drive out all of their competition. They are going to drive out the other consoles. In a lot of ways, they already have, and they're going to start taking over the mobile space as well. Like, mobile gaming has sort of, like, plateaued, I would say. People always talk about, like, oh man, these games, they're making billions of dollars, but, you know, those are like the biggest games on mobile. You know what I mean? Like, everybody has cell phones. Like, there isn't going to be a time where there's never going to be a time where enthusiast gamers are going to primarily be playing on cell phones. That's just not going to happen. Like, people who actually want dedicated games, right, are going to want to buy Nintendo hardware. And Nintendo is always going to be phenomenally successful at introducing new ideas and concepts to their hardware and software that simply can't be replicated by these overpriced pocket computers, like pocket PCs. Like, cell phones are over, like, in the gaming front. Like, they are going to be replaced. In a lot of ways, they already have. PC gaming is so dead that it's not even worth talking about. Nintendo, because of franchises like Pokemon, Nintendo is well on their way to controlling a monopoly on the gaming industry and becoming one of the biggest, grandest, most successful entertainment companies in the entire world.